Well, this is an interesting week that I didn't think was going to be as interesting. You notice that you do not have a discussion. Last week was really a full week, and next week's going to be a very short week because it's Thanksgiving. So what I want you to do is, if you have to, is carry over, and I will leave that discussion open, and hopefully you will even watch two of those movies from last week. Anyway, it's a very interesting time. It's more of a social justice time. Your workers are a new breed. They don't want to just follow orders. They want to be involved in what's going on. And then you find a lot of sabotage going on because they're saying we can find a better way to do this. It will be a better product. You keep on cutting back on the quality. We don't believe that anything like that should be cut back. So it's quite fascinating that the wildcat strikes happens and the postal workers going out and shutting down across the United States and saying things like, well, if it's perishable, it's going to perish. This is what unions are for, is to say that, to get the leverage. We, as workers, we have no control over our work life. The boss tells us when to come to work and when to take a break and when to go home and how long we can have for vacation and how long we can have if our kids are, in the hospital, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. So this was a time when the young workers were going like, we don't like this. And I have a brain. I'm not just here to follow orders. So it was a very new way of looking at the labor movement. And because the leadership of the various unions were getting very comfortable meeting with management and starting to consider themselves kind of like management. I think it was an inferiority complex, but to be able to, go away for a weekend or a week and have discussions and stay at big hotels. If any of you take my class next semester, which is going to be working class in the cinema, there's going to be a couple really great movies that demonstrate this point. And that class is basically watching movies and understanding labor history and understanding how movies make us or mold us to follow certain ways that the government wants us to go. So anyway, back to this class. So it was really, and then we had the farm workers, and this is again another sign of the social issues. I actually went and saw Cesar Chavez in Connecticut when he was speaking for the boycott, and I was a part of the boycott grapes work in New Jersey. It was just really fascinating. And as I also mentioned, the workers were beginning to think about their environment. In this upstate plant where I was sitting in on negotiations, they wanted to make sure management stopped dumping toxic waste into the river outside because they lived in this small town. And so this was the first time that the president of that local had ever come up against somebody talking about how our work life is impacting our private life, our home life, our community. Interesting times. Wildcat strikes keep on going. Learning the Taft-Hartley gets passed. In that Taft-Hartley is also regulations about how you can vote out your union leaders if you don't like what they're saying, how they have to give you time at a meeting. I mean, it really starts to hold unions accountable, much more so than corporations or companies are held accountable. So once again, it goes on the side of management. You also will see again, the president calls out the Army, the Navy, the National Guard to interfere in all these strikes, to push people back to work. And sometimes it causes the strikes to end, but sometimes it doesn't. But it is showing you that what Donald Trump did regarding the Black Lives Matters is not anything unusual when a president wants to support what they consider the status quo. So on that note, I will leave you for this week. Next week it will be a short week, and I'm not going to put too much on there. I don't even think I'll put a discussion so you can enjoy your Thanksgiving, but I'll tell you that next week. All right. I hope that you've watched or will watch Matewan and the documentary about the Wobblies put up last time, and view all these videos. I really try to find you YouTubes so that you're not just reading and reading. If you come across a YouTube that you think is really beneficial to the class, please let me know. All right, class, have a good week, and hopefully somebody will call in for office hours and we'll have a discussion. All right.